People can be intimidated by cooking a whole fish, but once you learn how easy they are to cook, you'll be hooked. Okay, that was bad. Aside from holding more flavors than your average fish fillet, cooking a whole fish is also a great idea from a health and environmental perspective, since bigger fish that you'll have to fillet or steak tend to be older, take longer to grow, and have higher levels of toxins like mercury compared to smaller fish that you can just cook whole. For this recipe, I'm using a snub-nosed pompano, which is a common fish over here in Hong Kong, at least in markets. I don't know if they actually swim in the water very commonly around here. So here we have the ingredients. The fish, of course, and a bowl of sliced green onions, dried chili peppers, and ginger. The chili pepper isn't essential if you're spice averse, but I'm a spice lover, so I added in. We also have some fermented black beans in this bag here, also known as douchur. You might be able to find these at an Asian market, or just order them online. It's traditional to put them on steamed fish, so I would recommend trying to track them down, but it's fine to forgo this item if you can't find it. As a substitute, some companies might make a black bean garlic sauce, which should work fine. You're also going to need some soy sauce and a neutral oil with a high smoke point like vegetable oil or grapeseed oil. The first thing I do is clean up our fish a bit. I'll start by giving it a rinse off camera. And here's something that I noticed while rinsing the fish, is that it has a bit of green algae on its head, meaning that it spent a bit too much time in the freshwater live well at the market. It's still fresh, of course, but perhaps not freshly caught. And next we're going to trim the fins of the fish to make it easier for steaming purposes. It can fit in the pan better without those fins sticking out. And then we'll take a knife and score the fish so that our flavorings can penetrate into the meat more easily. Speaking of which, we'll then start by stuffing the cavity of the fish with some ginger, green onion, and our chili pepper, before then placing a few slices of ginger and green onion on top. Be sure to save some of the green onion slices to sprinkle on the fish at the end as a raw garnish for color. And then we'll sprinkle on a few tablespoons of douchur. Now to cook. I have here my trusty cast iron wok with a small steamer rack over a bit of boiling water. If you don't have a wok, any similar kind of setup should do the trick. I'm just going to place the fish plate right on top of the steamer rack and cover. Then we'll let that cook for about 15 minutes for a fish of this size. A good way to tell if the whole fish is done is if the eye is completely white and has actually fallen out. It's kind of gross, but it's a good way to tell. Whenever your fish is ready, you can remove the lid and drain the plate of all the fish juice that got released. Be sure not to lose the fish when doing this, as I nearly did here. Then we'll move our fish to a nice clean and pretty plate and add a few final touches. The first being a bit of soy sauce for flavor and some raw green onions as a garnish. But the most important garnish of all is some blazing hot oil. So we'll heat our neutral oil in a screaming hot pan until it just barely starts to smoke, before then pouring it right over the fish with a satisfying sizzle to go along with it. And there you have it. A whole steamed fish.